Well, one of my daughter's first words was mask, so that is regrettable. It literally was one of the first. So thank you for what you've done with the mask mandates. And, you know, you mentioned it's school opening, so important. I'll never forget being in the press secretary's office, and a man named Dr. Scott Atlas, who was a lone voice among many bureaucrats in the White House, came into my office, sat down a pile of data, and said to me, what nation sacrifices their children on the backs of COVID? And that is what we are doing. And here's the data, and here's why schools should be open. And, you know, Governor, you kept schools open. And I was a little befuddled when I tuned into a White House press briefing. I see Jen Psaki stand up there. She's asked about states distributing money to keep schools open, and she had this interesting remark. So in terms of, an example would be Florida, where they've done little to distribute money, little to no steps to distribute money to states across the state and to school districts. That's just simply not true.
Well, it's also not true. So Biden's stimulus in March, which, by the way, has helped fuel the inflation that we're seeing now, huge mistake for them to have printed all that money, and they want to do even more. And that's the biggest problem ailing our economy right now. But they had done that. They included a lot of money for, quote, school reopening. We had our schools open. I didn't need any. You want to open schools? Open them. You don't need a lot of money to do it. And so we've actually distributed more than like 40 other states, but it's not for reopening because we had already done it. You know, if you go back to the June of 2020, you know, we said every parent in Florida has a right to send their kid to school in person. And we were sued by the education unions who wanted to close the schools. We were opposed uniformly by legacy corporate media outlets in Florida, but certainly the national outlets. And we were opposed by virtually every element of the left and the Democratic Party. And the thing is from a substantive perspective, it was an incredibly easy decision because the data was overwhelming that you needed to have kids in school. It was a firestorm. The teachers' unions would actually bring coffins and they would place them outside the Florida Department of Education. They would go into the school districts and they would do these ridiculous things. Just understand, if it wasn't for me, the kids would have been locked out of school in 2020 in the state of Florida. That's just the reality because that's where all this was coming from. So we stood in the breach. We fought back. We stood for our kids. And now people are trying to rewrite history saying, oh, no, we supported it. Everyone wanted the schools open. That is just not true. And so we were right on that, and they were grievously wrong.